there, Farmer fans. Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of the Coaches Show featuring Coach Quinlan here talking about the football team. Coach, rough week last week. You've had a chance to watch film, I'm assuming, multiple times?
Multiple times.
So what's the first thing that jumped out at you after watching that?
Sticking with the positives. I mean, there's always stuff to fix, but the sticking with the positives is how well our kids stayed in the game and fought to the bitter end. And that's something we've been preaching all through off season and working, putting them in situations where they had to get uncomfortable and seeing if they would stay in it, and they kept in it mentally and they fought to the bitter end and the ball didn't bounce our way at the end, but ultimately I was very impressed with how we fought to the end of the game.
I agree that defense, the first half, you could tell there were some butterflies there. I think a lot of people were worried more about their assignment than maybe making the play. But that second half, they really stepped up. So
yeah.
You guys got to be proud of that.
Yes, and I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that we've got a bunch of kids that was their first varsity football game. And getting under the lights and the band and the cheerleaders and drill teams and having a big group of fans there and all those things. There's absolutely some butterflies that are going to happen. Sure. And I mean, we've got kids all the way from our senior class all the way down that have never played on a Friday night and been in front of that environment. So there was a lot of kids that grew up that night,
yeah.
and that will be a big advantage as the year goes on.
Well, you mentioned first varsity game. Caden Norman first start as a quarterback, goes out early, and then Draylen comes in and he plays quarterback for his very first time.
Mm-hmm.
So where does that kind of stand as we move into this second week against Molina?
That's our 1 and 2, and with Draylen, I think that he really stepped up as a leader in the game and showed some things that he hadn't shown in the past, which made us all excited. He's always going to have a package with us going forward as far as being a quarterback, and he'll play some receiver and do those things. And I think that for him, it's the more experience he gets back there, the better off we're going to be. So it gives us some depth there, and he's a good athlete, and he gets the ball in his hands in a hurry, and makes defenses have to be able to stop the run.
Well, the kickoff return alone was an example of that, getting the ball in his hands on a little bit of a busted play, and he turns it into a 90-yard touchdown.
Yeah, and you get him into space, it's exciting things are going to happen.
So we got Dallas Molina coming up this week, first home game for the Farmers this season. Tell us a little bit about Molina, kind of what to expect and what you guys are kind of hoping to accomplish this week.
So defensively, we're going to have to really contain their running back and quarterback. Both are very good athletes. They're Draylen type kids. Once they get out into space, they can make big plays, and so we're going to try to do a real good job of keeping them contained in the box and try to make plays before they get out and running. Offensively, we just got to clean up our own mistakes. I mean, last week, a lot of in losing a quarterback that hurts hurts us a lot in those areas. But with a week under our belt, letting Draylen get some more snaps, I think that we'll be able to clean up a lot of those mistakes that we made last week, and again losing some of those first game jitters, and I think if we keep from the false start penalties and the holding penalties and the putting the ball on the ground because we're not catching snaps and those things, I think it's going to make us look a lot better offensively just because of that.
It might only be a 5-yard penalty, but when you have a couple in a row, it can add up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you get into a situation where Draylen's throwing the football is not where his strength, and that's not what, and you start putting us behind the chains and doing those things that puts us in a bind play call wise, and it puts us in a bind when, if we have another negative play, you look at the overtime portion of the game, we get all the way down to the 7-yard line. We have 2 negative plays, and we're looking at 3rd and 22, and we don't have a play in the playbook for that.
Right.
So,
last thing, Coach. I mean, we've talked a lot about the varsity, but I do want to bring up the junior varsity. Had a really impressive win last week.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are going to be on the road this week against Wilmer Hutchins. But can you talk a little bit about those guys and some of the growth that you've seen from fall practice when that started a couple weeks ago?
We've done. We've made that a focus. Our JV gets almost as many reps as our varsity does, and that's a lot different than what they've had in the past. And you're starting to see that growth with those kids, and I'm very impressed with where our junior high is right now. Also, as far as the number of reps that they're getting, how much offense and defense they're already running in comparison to last year, because that's all I have to compare off of. We're way ahead of the game there.
Good.
And I think that they're gonna surprise some people on Thursday night and get after it. So I'm excited to see them play.
Good. Well, guys, thanks for joining us for this week's version of the Coaches Show. We will see y'all at 7:30 on Friday out here at Farmer Stadium. Go Farmers!